if the canals that he built first were actually started at the traffic circle in Venice. And west of the traffic circle, you went up the hill and then down to a pier. There was a pier there that went all the way out to the breakwater. Most of you probably know about that. But then, going north from the traffic circle on Main Street, that was a canal all the way back to the elementary school. And then all those little crookedy streets between Abbot Kinney and Main Street, those were all canals. And they came, and then the big wide street that comes into the traffic circle, that was called Grand Canal, and that was the way you came in from Abbot Kinney and Venice Boulevard. That was a waterway down. So when that place was built, the Pacific Electric Railway built a train route from downtown so that they could bring passengers out here, because there was nothing in between really downtown and Venice. And so the streetcars, that's what we basically called them, streetcars, also known as the red car, because they were all painted red, came down here. It would come all the way down Venice Boulevard from downtown. It would turn around on the street that used to be called Trolley Way, I think it still is, and then it would go back downtown again, and that's the way people got out here. Yes?
Do they have like traffic lights and
Yes, there were traffic lights. Venice Boulevard used to be a very strange place for a long time until the streetcars were taken away in 1952 and they started buses. The streetcar ran down the middle of Venice Boulevard on that little island you see, only it was much wider. And then there were 2 lanes of roads on each side of the railroad track, and traffic went both ways on both sides of the road. So it was extremely difficult to drive, because making a left turn, you had to watch out for the trains, and then you had to watch out for the cars going the other way on the other side, and the cars going the other way on your side. It was scary, and there were hardly any signals. There was one at Lincoln Boulevard, and there was one at Centinela, and there was one at Sepulveda. That's all there was. Everywhere else was either nothing or a boulevard stop, and the railroad tracks were on dirt, a big dirt mound. They weren't on blacktop. And one of the funny things in my life at Venice High School was when the railroad tracks were taken away, that's where students used to park their cars, on the dirt hill. So when it would rain, they would go on the PA system, because the cars would slide down in the mud into the middle of Venice Boulevard, and then they would have to call you to go get your car out of the street because it had slid down in the mud into the middle of the street. So that is all blacktopped over at this time. But the streetcars stopped because the company that ran it, Pacific Electric, which is now not existing anymore, started to want to use buses because they thought it was more modern. Plus, the city wanted to change it so that automobiles could drive in and out of here more easily. So the car and the bus changed it. So we lost something that was very good in the sense that there were already tracks, already trains, and we got rid of them, and now we're trying to run to catch up and build them all back again. Yes?
what streets do the railroad tracks run on?
Right down the middle of Venice Boulevard, and when it got into Venice, it went down by the library, and then it made a right turn up Trolley Way, just to the west of the traffic circle, and it would go down to, there's some apartment buildings there now, but there used to be like a train depot on Main Street down where Abbot Kinney comes in and they all come together. There was a big train depot there, and the train would turn around there and then go back up Venice Boulevard. Now they also had a spur that went down the beach all the way to Redondo Beach. At that time, now this is another thing that's very interesting, the beach used to end right where the cement ends in Venice. I mean, the sand only went out about 20 feet. And the rock breakwater that you see out there was 1,700 feet out from the end of the boardwalk, they called it, because at one time it was boards, not cement. And so when I was a little kid, 2 things happened. One was funny, one wasn't. At the end of World War II, 1945, the Venice Pier caught on fire, and it burned down. A lot of it burned down. So they never rebuilt it. They just put a chain link fence around it and let it sit there as a wreck for like 7, 8 years, close to that. And in the meantime, the sewage plant in Playa del Rey called Hyperion wasn't big enough for the city. So sewage started to back up in Santa Monica Bay. And by sewage, we mean all the stuff you flush down your toilet and goes down your bathtub drain and your shower drain. So for 2 years, swimming was not allowed in Santa Monica Bay and Venice and Santa Monica and down in Manhattan Beach and that. You couldn't swim there because the water was full of germs. So during 1945, 6, 7, 8, they started to reclaim the beach and fix it. And they pumped sand out to where you see it now in Playa del Rey in front of the airport and in Venice and in Santa Monica and all the way up to Will Rogers Beach. They pumped the sand out. And it was interesting, the way they used to do it is they had these huge tractor things, like you see tractor treads. There would be this platform that was about as big as this classroom, not as wide, but as long. And they would creep along at about, like you walk slow, and it had big lights on it, spotlights. And 18-wheeler trucks would drive up on it while it crept along, because it had a ramp on the front and a ramp on the back. And they were dump trucks, and they would dump the sand onto conveyor belts that as this thing crept along, the conveyor belts would shoot the sand out into the ocean side. And this went on 24 hours a day for 2 or 3 years. These lights and these trucks were just running up and down the beach 24 hours a day, pumping sand out. So that's how the sand got out to the end of the breakwater in Venice. If you go to the beach there, the sand was never there until they fixed the beach up after those problems.